It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. We are talking Traitors. That's right. So here is your spoiler alert right now. If you have not seen episode 4 and 5 of season 4, which is the season that's playing right now on Peacock, do not listen. Pause this video, go watch the show, come back, and we can have a good time recapping together. Because you don't want to get spoiled, right? No, of course not. I am loving this show. I've always loved the show. The twists that they have in the show this season are phenomenal. And these missions are really, they're getting more difficult. They really are. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. We are talking Traitors, Season 4, Episode 5. I am going to say it one more time, that this is your spoiler alert. That's right. If you have not seen Episode 4 or 5, pause this video, go back, watch the show, come back, and we can recap together, okay? We are recapping Season 4, Episode 5, and we're going to pick it up right where we left off. So, at the round table, Tiffany was banished. I mean, Colton, he just starts chirping in everybody's ears, and everybody listens to him, which is crazy. And when they finally do need to listen to him, I'm afraid they're going to be like, la, 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 we're not listening to you. The Traitors go into the turret, and now they have a murder. Now, recall in the last mission, if your name was called out, that means you lost your shield. Everybody started with a shield. The names that were called out were Ron, Monét, Michael, Tara, Steven, Lisa Rinna. We know nothing's happening to her yet. Mara, Johnny, Jam Jam, and Tiffany. Of course, she was banished. Lisa Rinna, she's a traitor, so these two don't count. So out of this group now, they have to complete a murder. All right? So everybody comes to breakfast the next morning, and of course, everyone that's in breakfast kept their shield, so they knew they weren't getting murdered. And everyone's starting to talk, and, Dorinda's talking about Ron, and she's saying, I find it interesting that he can go from playing victim to accusing you of being a traitor, especially if if you say something wrong or don't get along with him or even look at him sideways, probably. And that's pretty much what she was saying about what happened with Portia, and that was noted. She was keeping a note in her head about that. However, Kristen, she's kind of looking at Colton. She's raising a little bit of an eyebrow there with him. So the first to enter is Michael, Jam Jam, and Ron. And Michael, God love Michael. He comes in, and Ron says, wow, doesn't seem like anybody's real happy to see me here. Gee, I wonder why. Then we find out that Colton was on The Bachelor, and I didn't know this. I don't watch Bachelor, but apparently when he was on, he was a heterosexual. At least he thought he was, and now he's not. Which I had no idea about that. And he was making the comment that, he cried enough tears on that show, like he ain't cried on this one. The next ones to arrive, ready? Mara, Lisa Rinna, of course, and Steven, okay? Then comes Johnny and Tara. So, who was left? Who was murdered? I know, it's so sad. Ding, ding, ding. Monét was murdered. And listen, we knew this was coming because in the turret, they were discussing this. He, under his breath, said to Candace, because he trusted Candace, that he has suspicions about Lisa Rinna being a traitor. And of course, Candace brought that to the turret with the other two traitors. And Lisa Rinna right away was like, well, we got to get rid of him. That's it. I wouldn't get rid of him if he wouldn't have said that. But now that he said that, we got to get rid of him. So, and Candace seemed like she was having a hard time with it. She said, I know I vowed to murder people and do all this. She's like, but she's not having fun with this because he trusted her. So Monét was murdered. So Colton says, well, let's, give a toast to Monét. He certainly was the best dressed. And Lisa Rinna, I don't know if anybody caught this or not. She cannot help herself. She goes, well, he was one of the best dressed. Mm-hmm. She cannot help herself. I mean, she really can't. So then they all leave breakfast and Kristen is talking and she's saying to a group like, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking Ron or Michael. And Lisa Rinna's like, I'm thinking Ron. Well, she has to put a name out there because, she wants to get the focus completely off of her. That's for sure. So she's like, well, I'm thinking Ron, for many reasons. And Tara says, yeah, I'm thinking Ron because he immediately can shift everybody's attention at the round table. And Candace says, yeah, he comes in with all these bullet points after he's been silent all day. And then everybody changes their mind and they go for what he says. So, even though he's been wrong every time. So Michael is definitely has his suspicions on Colton. And that's because of what happened the night before with Tiffany. He rounded up the troops and convinced everybody that it was Tiffany, and it wasn't. She was a faithful. But Ron sits down with the little group and he says, I'm 99% sure I know who the two traitors are. They're like, who? Dorinda and Michael. Really, Ron? I mean, oh my gosh. But Kristen, she still has her eye on Colton. She thinks that maybe Colton might have been threatened by Monét, and that's why Monét was murdered. She's trying to put the pieces together, So now it's the mission time, okay? And this is the Fountain of Faithful, all right? So remember that big fountain in front of the castle? Okay, so they're all at this fountain. There are 8 missing statues, and they're all hidden amongst the woods and everything. They have to retrieve these 8 missing statues and place them around the fountain. They have to turn the wheel and that will bring the fountain back to life. Okay? Now, in order to find these statues, there are hidden coins in this dirty, murky, gross water in the fountain. Now, some are fake, but 8 of them have where the statues are located. Okay? Now, if they successfully complete this mission, they get $16,000 in the pot. But of course, there's a little twist to this, right? So underneath each statue is a shield, okay? If one person takes a shield, the traitors go on and complete their nightly murder. But if no one takes a shield, the traitors will not complete a murder that night. Mm-hmm. There's always a twist, and I love it. So they have to now get into groups of 4. Okay, so they're all in this fountain, and they're all looking for these coins, and the water's cold, and it's gross, and it's dirty. Now everyone is in the fountain. Okay, here's Candace. God love her. She's like walking around the fountain. So, we're gonna get in here, girl. Like seriously, everyone's in there. Like, get your butt in there. So everyone's looking for the coins. The first group grabs a coin. So that's Tara, Kristen, Mara, and Rob. So they are now off to get their statue. The next ones, Johnny, Dorinda, Natalie, and Michael. They are now off to get a statue. Now, the first group that arrived at their statue, they lift the statue up, and underneath is a shield. And of course, everyone's like, no, 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 we're leaving the shield. We're leaving the shield. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving. This way, everyone's safe. So, they didn't get a shield. Okay. Now, the next group finds their coin. This is Colton, Candace, Mark, and Lisa. Now, Candace at one point was like, I like this group because, of course, the traitors want somebody to get a shield because they want to complete murder, right? And Candace is like, Colton, he's so competitive. Like, maybe I could talk him into getting a shield, But instead, when they get there, they're like, nope, no shield, just keep it moving, keep it moving. The next group finds a coin. It's Jam, Steven, Eric, and Ron, okay? Johnny gets another coin, so his group is now off and running. Steven's group, again, gets another coin. They're off and running. Michael's group, they get the final coin, and now they're all off and running. And when Colton's group gets to get to their statue, they have to cross this river. Like, it wasn't enough playing in the fountain, but now they got to cross this river. So they get across the river, and they lift up the statue, and guess what? There are 4, not just 1, 4 shields. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of wondering, 4 people, 4 shields. He's like, I think we need to discuss this, Then the last group, which is Dorinda's group, they get to their statue, and guess what? You guessed it, 4 shields too. Well, now they're thinking really hard. I mean, Natalie's in this group, and Natalie's going, I'm looking at Dorinda, and Dorinda's looking at me, and I know she's thinking the same thing I'm thinking, like, can we really trust these people, like, not to get shields? And if somebody picks up the shield, then we're all up for murder, So they're sitting there, really thinking about it. Okay. So now the time's ticking, okay? They're going back with their statue, and they place all the statues around, and they turn the wheel, and boom, the fountain comes to life. So they got 16,000 in the pot. But our lovely host says, you're probably wondering if somebody got a shield, but I'm not going to tell you that right now. And everyone's like, you know. So they all get back to the house. And, you know, when they get back to the house, this is when the discussions really happen. You know what I mean? When they're all like in different rooms and different groups, you know, and they're trying to figure out, you know, did anyone take a shield, you know? And Dorinda, well, Greg says to Dorinda, you know, if we get Ron out tonight, who will be the next one that you're gunning for? You know, because they're convinced Ron's a traitor. Dorinda's like, I can only think of tonight. You know, I can't think past this. I can only think of tonight. Well, you know, Ron comes in. A little awkward at first, you know, and Dorinda's like, how you doing, Ron? He's like, oh, I'm good, you know. I'm ready to say my piece. Greg's like, oh yeah, what's that? He's like, I'm 99.9% sure I know who two traitors are. Greg's like, are you gonna wait for the round table, or can you share it with us now? He's like, oh, I have no problem sharing it. It's Michael and Dorinda. Well, Dorinda's expression, she's like, really? She's like, I've never voted for you. He's like, that doesn't matter. Then, of course, in the kitchen, Colton, I mean, he's pushing for Michael. And he's trying to trip him up. So, you know, what did you wear to the turret? Or what do they wear in the turret? Or anything like that. You know, and Michael's like, yeah, you're not going to get me. Well, these two start at, Michael is such a loudmouth. I mean, I love hearing him recap the Housewives, but like, this was a lot to watch. So Colton and Michael, I mean, they start into this screaming match, you know. And Michael's like, you know, if I were you, like, I would be humble after last night. I would be like, you know, playing in the cut, you know, you failed ringleader, and, you know, I mean, you know, and in Michael's confessional, he's saying, you know, like, I'm an emotional person. No, we could have never guessed that, Michael. But Colton, I mean, he's not letting this go. He's like, oh, he's getting everybody to vote for Michael. And the more he's doing this, the more Michael is getting upset. And I mean, all you can hear now is Michael screaming through the castle that Colton is a traitor. And everyone's like even when Jam Jam was like walking through the foyer of the house, you know, he's like, I hear him. I mean, a mile down the road from the castle, you could probably hear him. So now we're at the round table, and Michael starts off with Colton. You know, well, first Candace is saying, does anybody want to discuss all the yelling that was going on in the kitchen earlier? Michael's like, conniving, colluding, commiserating, Colton, all start with C's, you know. And he's explaining how, like, last night you sent Tiffany home crazy, sad, alone. And he just keeps screaming, like, Colton, you know, like, commiserating Colton, you know, and he's responsible for chirping in everybody's ears. And now he thinks he's holding court about me. And yeah, I'm angry, and I'm, you know, pissed off. And because of him, I'm alone, you know, and no one is better than apparently holding court than this guy, and no one's better at keeping a secret. Well, everybody is like, ugh, because they think he's talking about Colton's sexuality. I really don't think that Michael meant it that way. I really don't. Michael's a loudmouth, but as soon as they start, the whole round table started calling him out on it. He was like, no, 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 no. I'm not talking about closets. I'm not talking about that. No, no, no. That's not what I'm talking about. He can keep a secret because of his behavior. Like, he's a traitor, but no one's letting this go. The whole castle had enough with Michael. I mean, at this point, everyone's like, I don't care if you're a faithful or a traitor. We just want you out. And he keeps saying, Colton's a traitor, and he points over to Ron. He's like, and this one's a traitor too. And so Ron decides to say his piece. He's like, well, I think Michael's the pit bull for Dorinda. Dorinda's, you can tell when Dorinda's really agitated because she perches her lips, So she's got those lips really perched. And she's like, well, I think you're a housewife hunter. And he's like, I don't even know any of you. And she's like, look, I've tried to get to know your family, where you live. Well, I mean, Ron was really nasty. He was like, I don't give a bleep bleep, okay? It's none of your business who my family is, And he's like, basically, I'm not here to get to know anyone because that creates bias and that impedes on my investigation. Thank God you're not a real investigator, Ron, because you are so far off. And Dorinda is like, you really know how to manipulate and put on this grand show. But at this point, everyone is over Michael, like they are over him. And, Michael is definitely not doing well. So they do the vote, okay? And of course, who gets banished? Big mouth Michael, all right? And in his confessional, he said, I felt like I was backed in a corner. And I fought hard, maybe too hard, but he did not mean any comments towards Colton's sexuality or anybody. And he was really apologetic for if he offended Colton or anybody in the house. It's just a game, but he did take it too far. And everyone, of course, he stands up there and he's a faithful. Nobody really cares. They're like, as Candace said, ding dong, he's gone. Like, nobody really cared that he was a faithful. They were tired of hearing him. I can only imagine that we're only getting little edits of him yelling. Imagine how he was the whole time they were in this castle. I mean, earplugs would not have helped you against Michael Rapaport. Like I said, I think that I love to hear him give his opinion on the housewives. I've always found him entertaining. I thought he would be a much better player than what he was. I mean, his mouth it was hard to watch. As a viewer, it was hard to watch. I cannot imagine being another player in the game or even production for that matter, having to hear him yell. He never shut up. But he shut up now because he is banished. Okay? So everybody leaves the round table and Kristen's like, now she's really onto Colton because Colton again rounded the troops against Michael, another faithful. And, but Colton says to Dorinda, can I ask you something? Dorinda's like, go ahead. He's like, you know Lisa well. Is she normally this quiet? She's like, no. And he looks at Dorinda, he's like, it's kind of throwing you off too, huh? She's like, yeah, she's so quiet at the round table. And he's like, that's what I thought. And Mara's like, I don't think I've ever heard her even mention who she thought a traitor was. And Colton says, number one, the red flag for me was when she voted Portia off. If you watch her, she's always got sunglasses on. And tomorrow morning, he said, watch, at breakfast, she's like over the top. And Jam's like, yeah, but she gave the best description of, the scenario with everybody being with the face-to-face murder. And Colton's like, why do you think that is, Jam? Because she got to see it 3 times. Finally, Colton's onto something. But will anybody believe him? I don't know. So then Snaky Rob, he's listening to this and he's like, uh-oh. So he says, I haven't really thought about Lisa Rinna. Matter of fact, I don't really talk to her that much. And in his confessional, he's saying, like, I have an alliance with Colton, and it's very important that he keeps this alliance. But, he also wants to protect his fellow traitors. With that being said, though, you can only do so much. So the traitors go up in the turret. Now, they're asking each other, did your group get a shield? Did your group get a shield? Because remember, they can't murder if no one picked up a shield. And they're like, no, we didn't pick up a shield. No, we didn't pick up a shield. Snaky Rob says, Lisa, I gotta tell you something. Colton's coming for you. She's like, oh, I knew he was trouble. And he's like, yeah, he was talking to Dorinda. Dorinda was saying that she's never really seen you this quiet. She's like, yeah, I gotta talk more. Candace is like, yeah, you gotta talk more. And Jam had said that you knew about the whole description of like the face-to-face murder. And Colton said, why do you think that is? Because she saw it 3 times. And Lisa Rinna now is out for blood for Colton. Like, she wants to murder him like yesterday now. But will she be able to? We don't know. Because that's where it ends, and they always get us on this cliffhanger. It just depends if anybody picked up a shield. I mean, I have to tell you that Dorinda's group, I don't know, when they were standing there after the fountain went on, the camera kind of zoomed over at Dorinda while they were talking about how they weren't going to say that anybody got a shield. And at the round table, he told everyone that they will not find out, the faithful anyway, will not find out until tomorrow morning at breakfast. But I have this funny feeling that maybe Dorinda's group possibly got a shield, because I don't know, just the way she was looking, she almost looked like, I could be wrong. I mean, it might have been just the way she was standing there. I mean, they were probably cold and wet, and they just did this huge mission, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think one of them picked up a shield? I don't know. I mean, and if they did, are they going to find out who picked up a shield? Or is that going to be kept secret? they're just going to find out that somebody picked up a shield because somebody gets murdered. Because I'll tell you, if somebody picked up a shield, Colton's out of there. Like Lisa Rinna will not let this go. She's like a dog with a bone. And she wants Colton out of there. However, there was a lot of people in that room while he was talking about Lisa Rinna and making his case. And if he gets murdered, I don't know. Like, everybody in that room is going to be like, who was in the room? Who heard him? But then again, Colton goes to everybody and talks, he's always throwing the other players under the bus. So, and most of them have been faithful. So, like, I don't know. Now we got to wait till next week. Do you think they picked up a shield? Would you have picked up a shield? I don't know. I mean, you want to go with the group. You want to hope everybody was honest so that nobody would get murdered and everybody could play on for another day. But you also have to think of yourself because no one's going to protect you in this game. You only have yourself to protect. I don't know. It's so hard. I don't know. But I cannot wait to find out what happens next week. I love this game. I really do. What about you? Let's start a conversation. Leave comments down below. And before you do, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.